there, Coach Sage Canaday of SageRunning.com here with another training talk. Today we're going to talk about the anatomy of a 120-mile training week. Gosh, what is that in kilometers? 100, 200 kilometers. Yeah, about 200 kilometers. Because 100 kilometers, 62. A little less, 195 kilometers per week, training week, which is a peak mileage week that I hit in this marathon training segment before Boston. It's what I've averaged when I ran my marathon PR of 2:16:52 a long time ago. It's kind of a sweet spot of mileage and volume for me, but mileage isn't the end-all number, and I just wanted to break down kind of the structure of an average training week that you could maybe apply to your own training, whether you're running 50K per week or 30 miles per week, or you're building up to 60 miles a week, 100K per week, something like that. Because running triple-digit mileage numbers isn't the magic thing. You know, there's not a whole lot of difference between a 90-mile week or a 100-mile week, or 120, obviously a lot more stress. But if you're getting injured, if you're breaking your leg, you're getting tendonitis, or only sleeping 3 hours a night, and you can't handle the mileage that you need to run, then it's not worth it. And I've learned that the hard way over the last 20 years of running. I've done the 150, 140, 150 miles a week. I ran 150 miles a week in college. It was too much. It was too stressful. I was overtraining. It made my running get worse. Even 140 miles I found to be too stressful, non-sustainable. So you want to try to optimize your training, to optimize the time you have, and not risk injury and overtraining, and take into account that it's all relative to your past history and age in running, your training background, and what event you are focusing on. So we'll do some Strava screenshots of my training log in a minute. I was doing a paper log, paper pen, calendar grid, journal log, all throughout most of my running career before the digital age and GPS watches and things like that. We just track time and kind of estimate mileage. It'd be like, oh, if you ran 49 minutes, 7-minute mile pace, it was about 7 miles. Things like that. But it's great to keep a log, keep track of what you're doing. It sets your future goals. You might have a goal to run a certain amount of mileage in 7 days or 6 days or per month. And it also keeps you accountable for past mistakes and overtraining, and I've definitely learned a lot from looking at my old logs, leading into bad races or bad seasons and things like that, because it's the benefit of hindsight. But it's also fun, motivation, and it doesn't take a long time. You track down how you felt a little bit, paces you run, mileage you run, elevation gain, maybe conditions, things like that. But on Strava, and we'll get to the Strava screenshot in a minute here, we're doing 7-day cycles of mileage totals, and I don't really like that. I like operating more on a 10-day cycle, not for mileage totals, but in terms of workout variation. I don't do a really hard long run every 7 days. I do it more like every 10 or 12 days, and so it's always kind of a moving target with the cycle of training, but it lets you see, like, hey, how often am I doing a speedier, faster workout around 5K, 10K pace? How often am I doing lactate threshold workouts around half marathon to 15K race pace, and how often am I doing marathon specific types of long runs or hill repeats or weight training, things like that in your balanced training program. So that's the real benefit on there. And on Strava we have 2 different grid systems, the calendar grid, which I'll show you a screenshot of right there, where it looks like a regular calendar, and that's how we do a lot of training plans. It's nice to be on a 7-day cycle because that's how people's work weeks are structured. It's how the calendar's structured, and relative, if we take a 7-day average week, we know mileage and volume and stress that we could put into that 7-day cycle. So that kind of works well. On the other hand, on Strava, I have on the premium tab, the other training log view, which shows you these round circles, bubbles of your mileage, stress, and how much you're running each day and different types of workouts. And you know, with me running 120 miles a week, or run twice a day a lot, and we call that doubling. So I'm running early afternoon and then late in the evening a lot, and you see that on Strava. But it's easier physically to go out and run 2 6-mile runs than it is to run 1 12-mile run. There's kind of less structural stress there. Now, it's not specific to long training. It'd be better to do maybe just 1 10-mile run instead of breaking up runs into little short segments. But in terms of not stressing the body too much, sometimes you start running twice a day to just get the mileage in. I don't believe in junk mileage, but that's more if you're running over 70, 80 miles a week, or at least 120K per week is when you start really getting into more doubles and things like that. And you see that on those bubbles there on the training log and the stress. And you could also see I'll analyze the two workouts, the quality workouts, harder workouts that I actually did in this 120-mile week, which in context was the 6th week of my Boston Marathon training. It was last month, and I did hit 120 miles a week several other times, as well as several other 115-mile weeks, or about 185, 190 kilometer weeks. So I've been averaging fairly high mileage and focusing more on speed. And like I said, more is not always better, because I found doing 130, 140 miles a week or 220 kilometers a week, things like that, it was too much for me and it kind of sapped my speed. So I was still trying to focus on getting in some quality, faster workouts in this Boston Marathon training cycle, and I think it's going pretty well. The training log bubbles that we're looking at here. And this is a training week, February 26th through March 4th. We're going to look at here. Actually, I take that back. We're going to look at this March 5th. This is actually backwards compared to the training calendar grid. This is moving forward in time as we go up. So March 5th to March 11th was actually the week before I raced the Shamrock Run 15K in Portland. So pretty tiring week, training week, 220-mile weeks in a row. And first day, I usually use song lyric titles to my easy recovery run days, but this one I almost got hit by a car, so I was mad about that. So that was the name of my run. You can see 6.8 mile run, was that like 11K at 7:14 per mile pace, so 4:25 per kilometer pace. Nice and relaxed. That's kind of my default easy run pace, 7-minute mile pace, 4:20 per kilometer, I think that is about. And I did 2 runs that day. I did a 7.9 mile run and a 6.8 mile run. So that was an easy recovery day. If we look back to what I did before that, I had a big day the week before. So you always take into context a moving 7-day total. You could count your mileage. If you counted my mileage from Wednesday to Wednesday, maybe I ran 130 miles a week in that 7-day span. But we just happened to count it from Monday to Sunday on Strava here. So that's the total we see over here, 14 hours and 50 minutes to run 120 miles a week. But a lot of it was at some quality. So that was an easy day. Monday, Tuesday, same thing. I did a 10-mile run earlier in the day, 12:44 p.m. At 7:06 mile pace, and then I rolled out in the evening at 6:27 p.m. Another song lyric, Karma Please, at 6.9 miles. So 2 easy days, Monday, Tuesday. Next day I did a quality session being a faster, harder workout, and I actually did some hill repeats on the NCAR hill. It was working on a hill phase, so I did a little warm-up. You could see all these activities here, all these little bubbles show the warm-up and each reps. I actually screwed up my GPS watch on a couple of them. But I was basically doing third of a mile rep. What is that? About 600 meters almost of quality up down this hill at a kind of a good gradient. And I did 10 by 10 repeats of that, 10 by a third of a mile up down. And a cool down, as well as a evening run at the local Boulder Running Company store, 5.2 miles at 7:27 pace. So I was a little beat up from that hill session. That was a pretty tough session. I was beating up the quads on the downhill, faster than marathon pace, and then trying to get a spike up pretty high heart rate on the uphill segments. They were about roughly 2 minutes, I think. And then the next day, another easy big mileage day though, 11.2 mile run in the morning. So that's 18K, 19K, and then another 6.8 mile run in the evening, another 11K or so at 7:17 per mile pace. Then I had the hardest long run probably of my segment here, 22.2 mile long run. I'm just guessing it's like 35K, maybe 36K in 2:12. So 5:58 per mile average. The thing with that long run, and we could click on the details here because the devil's in the details, is that I was doing alternating miles. I call it kind of alteration, kind of a Renato Canova inspired type of workout, where I did the first 1, 2, 3 miles easy, steady as a warm-up, 6:30 pace. And then I rolled into it. I did a fast mile, faster than marathon pace, 5:11 pace, so that's like 3:12 per kilometer pace for a mile. Then a steady mile at 6:16 pace, so still under 4 minutes per kilometer pace, and then alternated that with a 5:12 mile, and you kind of get the picture. Steady mile, 6:16, 5:12 mile 8, 6:33, 5:05 mile 10, And so I did those alternating miles, 5:11, 5:14 through 14 miles. Then I changed it up. I was getting a little tired. I thought, hey, I'll do some 800 alternating. So 4 times 800 meters at marathon pace alternating. But I was still splitting miles in the 540s there through 16, 17. Then kind of a steady cool down the last few miles there, 18, 19, 20. Last mile for 5:43, pretty steady. You could see the surges here as well as the heart rate spikes, I believe, here on Strava. Some good data there. And overall run, it was a pretty hard long run with those alternating paces. Still averaged sub 6 minute mile pace, and to run 2:12 for over 22 and a quarter, or almost 22 and a quarter miles was a really good workout for me and a really quality session. So then I still had to run twice again the next day, but I was going slow here. I was running 8 minute miles the next day, really just getting the mileage in. Pretty easy and relaxed for me, just 8 and 5, easiest way to get in miles efficiently. And then to top off the week, I had another, actually we went to Slida, it looks like, and did some trail running, but just mellow, 10.6 miles on the trails, and another 9.5 mile run to top off that week. And again, headed into a lower week, but I put in a lot of 120 mile weeks, 3 in the 4 week span there at the peak of my training, and that's kind of just how I do it. So like I said, the magic isn't just in the mileage, the magic is in the man, is in the runner. It's not worth it if you're going to get hurt or be overtrained to try to push these high mileage, because it's also what you do with your quality workouts, and workouts generally being harder sessions, specific sessions, speed sessions, things like that, and how you mix that all together that determines real progress and race performance and things like that. But thank you so much for subscribing on here, guys. Really exciting. We're getting really close to 100,000 subscribers, and I can't believe it after 10 years of being on YouTube doing running related videos. It's all thanks to your generosity and your viewership and your subscriptions, so keep them coming. I think we could hit it definitely within the next few days, hopefully, and I'm gonna do a special video for it, 100,000 subscribers. Just gonna do some prize giveaways, and to be eligible for the prize giveaways, I will say you have to be subscribed on here, and you will also have to follow me either on Twitter or Instagram. I'm on both those platforms at Sage Canaday. So I'll announce all the info with that. I got some sponsored giveaways that I'm gonna send out to some of you fortunate, lucky people. It's a little way of saying thanks, but I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. I couldn't do this without you, and the channel growth has just been a testament to the generosity of the running community and all your positive energy, and a really big part of my life now. So I can't thank you enough for that. And it's just really been a process that I've enjoyed, and being able to connect with you. I know a lot of you are international as well, and meeting even some of you in person at races, any service, any distance. Thanks so much, guys, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, as well as check out our training plans. Coach Sandy and I sell them at sagerunning.com. I'll link to it there, as well as our other video playlists. Thank you again, and stay tuned for more VO2 Max Productions.